Good evening and welcome to all. As we call this Poquoson City Council work session to order for presentation on the Peninsula Community Foundation, we're pleased to have with us tonight Mr. Bill Massey and Ms. Adelia Thompson. So thank you all so much for being here. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor Hudson. We're dropping paper rolls on the floor right over the gate here. And the city manager, thank you for being with us in advance of this too. We are honored for the opportunity to get to talk with you, and we thank you for the investment that you made in the research that we're going to share with you a little bit tonight. I am Adelia Thompson. It's been my honor to be the CEO of the Peninsula Community Foundation since January. I joined the team there after I had been part of the administration at Christopher Newport University for about 14 years, and I retired with a little R from CNU at the end of 2024. Longtime Foundation CEO Mike Monteith had been trying to retire for a little while, and we all know how that can roll sometimes, and my timing lined up well with his timing, and the board kindly took a leap of faith with me and invited me to join the foundation for a little while. So I'll say up front that the foundation is just the source of this report, and Bill Massey and his marvelous team at the Peninsula Agency on Aging are the heroes who really live into the reality of this report every single day, and I'm so grateful to you, Bill, for being a willing and ready partner as we have talked about this report in tag team presentations like this one's all over the peninsula for the last 9 months. And as you all probably know, Bill is retiring from PAA at the end of this calendar year after 41 years of leadership with that organization. And PAA and our community are going to miss you, Bill, and your compassion and your vision. So Godspeed for your next chapter as you retire with a big R. And many of you may know about the Peninsula Community Foundation in one way or the other. In particular, it's been our privilege to get to work with Poquoson in recent years on your beautiful clock project and on the pavilion that stands at Lawson Park. Additionally, we're home to a broad number of scholarships for students from this whole area for which Poquoson students are eligible, and teacher support grants too. But I'm going to quickly set the stage for why the foundation took on this report and a very brief snapshot of who we are and what we do and why this report was important to us. Great. When we were created, the Virginia Peninsula was the largest community in the Commonwealth without a community foundation. Our founders knew that there needed to be an anchoring organization whose job was to keep the whole community in mind, to maintain that view from the balcony, if you will. The leaders of the municipalities like you that we serve and the hundreds of nonprofits are working hard to care for our neighbors, and the leaders of business and education, you're all focused and you're passionate, but you have very specific roles and agendas by design. There needed to be an organization positioned to always be mindful of the greater community. So we were created to be the guy behind the guy counts on. We aren't on the front line of the community doing God's work in service of the greatest needs like you are and as the nonprofits are. We were created to serve those who serve our neighbors, to have our ear to the ground, lifting up the greatest needs and opportunities and connecting them with the people and organizations and businesses who can make a difference and make it easy for them to find creative ways to care for their community and change lives. So we live into that role in 3 major ways. I'll use our initials, if you will, PCF. So we do our work through partnerships that are at the heart of everything we do, capacity building, which for us means helping organizations do more of a good thing they've already got running, and helping them do some things or do some things for themselves that maybe they can't or shouldn't even have to try to do on their own. And then financial possibilities through partnerships and capacity building, creating and inviting and facilitating new pathways for financial resources and sustainable ones to make life better on the peninsula. The tools that we use to do our work are listed at the top of this slide, and for today we're going to focus on community research. And also listed at the bottom of the slide are the groups that comprise our primary partners. And because I know the word peninsula means a little something different depending on whether it's Don Slater or me talking about it. But the peninsula means for us the 6 municipalities we were created to serve. And that's Hampton, Newport News, Poquoson, York County, James City County, and Williamsburg. Now at your places you've got 3 handouts. And the first is a 2-sided, 1-page handout that's labeled PCF at a glance. And that really is what it's just intended to be, a quick dashboard of information about us, what we do and how and why. So this next slide highlights 3 points on that handout. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on these, but just we'll lift them up as examples of some things that we do. Research we're going to focus on today. It's actually been the driver of the foundation for the last 15 years, and the report we share today is the third project like this one that the foundation has taken on. The first one focused on early childhood development. The second, about a decade ago, was on homelessness. And then that led in large part to the creation of the Housing Crisis Hotline. The second program featured up here that you may know about through us is called the annual Give Local 757 campaign. It takes place in the late spring every year, and you see on the slide to the left there and in the middle on the right some of the aggregate information on the program's impact since it started some 12 years ago. This past May, we raised over $1.5 million in a day. This is a prime example of capacity building, because many of those nonprofits that participate in Give Local really could never undertake a day of giving on their own, and they shouldn't have to use their limited resources to try. We can step in and help them win through something they don't have to create or build on their own. The final point on this slide is just about the overall investment we make into the community. We are home to actually, it says 100 plus, but I might have checked before I left, and it's closer to 200 funds now. From donor advised funds to endowments to scholarships and teacher support funds, and since 2011, more than $37 million has been channeled through the foundation into this community, 4.2 alone last year. So, Mike Monteith, who was not only my longtime predecessor, but also one of the foundation board members originally, firmly believed that holistic community research, projects large and small, is a space that community foundations really ought to fill when we can. And so it's been an honor to try to ensure that this report and community research continue to be priorities for PCF as we start our next chapter. So we created the program banner at the foundation, the Center for Community Research, and this report is the inaugural effort under that banner. He approached the leaders of 6 municipalities that we serve for their thoughts on what a pressing topic might be that cuts across the community, shared by the municipalities, and that's how the topic of older adults emerged. And the 6 governments agreed to fund the effort, and we are deeply grateful to you for that. You see on the slide the names of the research team, led by Elizabeth Hughes, who Mike knew as a leader from the Nova Community Foundation, a really well-respected researcher in the Community Foundation arena, and she had easy connection with researchers at George Mason, so he engaged them to take this on, this time with an outside-in lens. It was conducted last year, and we released it in early 2025, and since then, Bill Massey and I have had the honor of speaking with dozens of groups of all flavors and sizes across the peninsula to discuss the report, and actually, most importantly, of course, what's next. So your second handout in front of you is another one-page two-sider. And it really is a summary of the report that rolls up the holistic data into a few major points that I hope will be a good takeaway for tonight, and also perhaps a good reference tool moving forward. It also provides you with the links for the full report that lives on our website. And the final hard copy piece in front of you, you have a list of the sources for the data that you're going to see on these slides I'm about to share, in the order that they are presented, and a brief description of some of those sources too. And in the full report on the website, you'll find a very robust detail of all the sources that were used to conduct the research and build the report. So, now, a few of the most salient points from the report itself. This is a glance both backwards and forwards. It looks at the actual growth and projected growth of those age 60 and older and those in the middle, 18 to 59, since 1970, but it focuses on the growth since the year 2000. And in that time, the population of those of us, has nearly doubled, while the growth of the rest of the adult population has stagnated. This shows that growth in more detail, and on the handout summary, this specific point is noted, but I'm going to lift it up here too. If you look at the net growth of those aged 30 to 60 over the next 25 years, it's 20%. We all know that's arguably the heart of the workforce. For those 60 to 80 plus, it's 133%. And the overwhelming number of those will be over the age of 80. Over the last 25 years, the fastest growing population was individuals in their 60s, and in the coming 25 years, the fastest growing group in the future will be residents in their 80s. This slide shows by municipality on the left, the blue bars, the actual number of residents 60 plus currently versus the anticipated growth of those 60 plus by 2050. And then on the right, the gold bars show the actual number of residents age 80 currently versus the anticipated growth of that number by 2050. Next up shows the neighborhoods across the peninsula that are going to have the largest concentration of residents over the age of 80 by 2050 versus the end of the last year. Estimated 20 neighborhoods will have 10% or more residents age 80 plus, and that's the dark blue, and 74 neighborhoods will have 5 to 10% of their population over the age of 80, and that's the medium blue tint. So what do these shifts in growth mean in our older population for all of us across the whole community? Well, greater health care needs because of chronic and health conditions and greater disability. This is not a light bulb moment for any of us, since we're all mindful that with age comes increased likelihood of health challenges and mobility limitations. But for me, this slide was just a challenging visual snapshot of what that increase is projected to look like, and the support needs that are going to go along with that increase. These bar graphs offer a snapshot of the living situations and limitations of our older neighbors, but specifically from the perspective of the care that's going to be needed from somebody else. And while family members are often turned to, this also points out that family is not and will not be an option for a number of our neighbors. And my husband and I are in that mix. This slide speaks to two things. First, in the bulleted items on the left, that a majority of our older neighbors live in homes that were built before the year 2000, and I'm not telling you all anything. That therefore means they're likely to need some kind of changes in order to accommodate long-term safety and accessibility. Second, it shows the current public transportation routes on the peninsula relative to the concentrations of our older neighbors. And recognizing that public transportation is a different consideration in the equation across peninsula municipalities. Repeatedly in our discussions about this report, though, the issue's been raised that for older neighbors, it isn't even about public transportation. It's about getting from place to place and options for doing that safely and affordably. And Bill and his team have some stats to share about that too, I believe. So there's a lot going on this one, but I suspect its bottom line message is not news for those of you in municipality leadership. The percentage of EMS calls that are from those 60 plus and especially 80 plus relative to that group is a portion of the population. Relative to their size of the population, adults in their 60s place about twice as many calls for EMS service as an individual under 50. Adults in their 80s are the largest consumers, and about 48 calls for services per 100 individuals. These national trends are borne out in our local EMS data as well. And as we get older, our financial resources decline and our spending habits change, and so we're pouring less money into the economy even as our needs grow and expenses associated with those needs grow too. So what's ahead? With healthcare and the care support needs of our older neighbors, it means a significant growth, certainly, and opportunity in that arena. But of course, the question is whether we will have the workforce to support that need and opportunity, which leads to the next slide, the need for formal caregivers. Now, Mr. Massey's going to speak to this in his comments, but both the need for caregivers and the unique needs they have because of the toll that work takes on them. But this slide speaks rather starkly to just the projected unmet demand that's possible. And of course, this demand problem is affected from a couple of directions. The potential decrease in the growth in the workforce population here projected for the near future, but also the unmet need for the care that potential workforce members face themselves, either for their children or for their older family members. This is just more about the EMS side of the story. And again, sharing this is preaching to the choir, since you all know firsthand how this plays out in real time for your Poquoson neighbors and budget. But this slide shows the increases in the types of EMS assistance calls made over the last few years, and specifically shows that lift assists have seen the sharpest increase. And the final two slides return to the economics of the situation. And again, you're no stranger to these realities. As we age and spend less, our sales tax contribution goes down, affecting, of course, the revenues of the very jurisdictions on whom we will be relying for more support. And this time, property tax. Again, you live with this in real time, but as more residents are likely to begin to qualify for means-tested tax relief, that is helpful for them, but it has real ramifications for municipalities. This final slide is simply a few high-level questions that the researchers suggested for consideration as we navigate how to successfully handle serving an older peninsula. And a lot of these questions have really emerged for us in regular conversations we've been privileged to participate in. And the best news of all, I guess, is there is traction. The conversations haven't just been talk. It's been real people in real time trying to figure out new ways to take care of their neighbors. One interesting conversation that emerged in Hampton that's now being piloted, in fact, is to build on the idea of neighborhood watch. And the original language used was senior neighbor watch, but that wasn't quite something that everybody was willing to cotton onto. So they built it after a title of a program that Mr. Massey has at his organization, Caring Neighbors. And so it is absolutely going to be built on the premise of neighborhood watch, which already works. It's not something you got to create. And we'll see how it goes, putting neighbors in charge of being watchful for senior neighbors in a new way. There are other programs like that across the country that have been piloted. We'll see how that goes in Hampton. I guess I'll just close by saying there are a lot of really smart, compassionate people all across this peninsula, a lot of them in this room, who are grappling every single day with what we need to do to take better care of our older neighbors. And we hope that this report can simply be another tool in your toolbox that helps the peninsula community move to a place where when we ask if we're ready to care and serve an older peninsula, we are ready. Thank you. And I'm now glad to welcome my friend, Bill Massey, to the podium.
Technical help there from the previous presenter. We had a wonderful opportunity to partner with the Peninsula Community Foundation for this research and the report that was produced. And it's the kind of thing that a lot of nonprofits dream about doing, and you simply don't have the resources to take away from direct service delivery and invest where you really need to invest. And this gave us an opportunity to address that. And we've been very, very appreciative of that opportunity. Here we are. We could go with this, how's that? As Adelia mentioned, I've been at this work for a long time, and it feels kind of strange to be standing here as a lame duck. I don't really feel like a lame duck. I think I'm still engaged, and I intend to stay engaged and work for the rest of this year anyway, before maybe I'll step back a bit. But there is a lot that's going on. There's a lot in place to help address some of these concerns to build on as we go forward. If nothing had happened over the last 50 years with the Peninsula Agency on Aging, it would really be a dire tale of woe, I think, here that we would need to try to address. So there's a lot of work to be done, but there's good that's happening out there at the present time. Now, I have to admit, I see some irony in coming to Poquoson, which is right next door to Hampton, and putting a picture of Lyndon Johnson on the screen, because it could have been Poquoson we have a problem, before Johnson moved the space program down to Texas. But anyway, we'll forgive and forget is I think the order of the evening. But he did some other things, or his administration did. I don't know if any of you remember, but some may, the Great Society, the work that came about after the assassination of Martin Luther King, and Johnson, who came from the South, and I heard a story once about him that he said, well, when he was a congressman, he had a very different mindset, and then when he was president, he went in almost an entirely different direction. being very conciliatory, trying to help cover the racial divide that we had in our country at that particular time. But whatever prompted it, out of this Great Society came the Older Americans Act. And I know you're thinking, I'm glad he finally got to that, right? This was passed in 1965, and what it envisioned was all the good things that needed to happen for older adults in our country. They needed affordable, decent housing, indoor plumbing. They needed good health care. They needed a host of other things. Most older adults lived in poverty at the time, and there was a lot of work to be done. So the act, as it was passed, talked about, we will provide all of these things, but there was no money attached. So about 8 years later, in 1973, amendments to the act actually created a network, a system of area agencies on aging all across the country to begin to address needs at the local level. And there was funding attached. And in 1974, a group of interested individuals came together here on the peninsula and created the Peninsula Agency on Aging. And we've been serving older adults and family caregivers since that time. But it was this foundation provided by the federal legislation that got us to this point. And here's some of the core services that are available through our organization, but as a result of the legislation and the funding that was and has been provided for a long time. And as you see, the general categories: elder rights, and elder abuse is an area that I think everyone is concerned about. Adult protective services is a grossly underfunded service. There's a lot of opportunity there to do a better job. And I know there are at least 2 incidences on the peninsula recently where murder-suicide, and the persons involved were a family caregiver and the care receiver. And I'll talk, as Adelia indicated, I'll talk a little more shortly about caregiving responsibilities and how we can help address that. But it's just, how easy to say what a horrible person. It is a horrible act, but if you've ever been a caregiver and you've ever really had to deal, particularly I think where dementia is involved, if you ever had to deal with those situations, you can begin to understand how a person can reach that point, and that's a sad thing. Help for caregivers, nutrition is a big part. We have a nutrition program here in Poquoson that the city has assisted us with and funded for a long time. Health and wellness and supportive services are some other areas. And this is a comprehensive list. It doesn't mean everything is provided everywhere, but I think this gives you a flavor of what's out there to help folks. And then some gaps in services. We have a fairly substantial waiting list for Meals on Wheels on the peninsula. We do not have a waiting list for Meals on Wheels in Poquoson, and that's because you folks and others in the community have stepped up and made sure that that was not the case here. We're very, very appreciative for that. And these are the numbers across the peninsula in all the jurisdictions that we serve, to just kind of give you a feel for how many meals are being provided annually and some other services. So someone may say, well, what did you do in Poquoson? And once again, this is not a comprehensive report, but to give you a feel, we worked with 40 individuals to provide information referral and assistance. In addition to the programs that we provide directly, we connect caregivers and older adults with a lot of other services in the community that can benefit them. We call it the Congregate Nutrition Program. Dining Club has a better ring to it, I think. So we had 14 individuals that we served there. Home delivered meals or Meals on Wheels, you see the numbers. And then the transportation support. And that's primarily to help people get to non-emergency medical appointments. So very, very important to helping maintain good health and enabling folks to stay in their homes and in the community for as long as possible. And here's some caregiving statistics. And if you've had, as I mentioned earlier, if you've had any experience in this area, none of this probably surprises you. But 53% of caregivers work full-time, and 59% are caring for a parent. 43% live with the person they care for. So there's never a break. Even if you work, you come home, you're on duty every hour you're there until you go back to work. What a way to get a break, right? 72% report emotional stress, and 51% are experiencing financial strain. And even if you pay in home care aid, $10 is easy to figure, but let's say you're paying them $15 an hour. If you have to pay for care, even for 10 hours a day, 8 to 10 hours a day while you're away, you do the math, and it mounts up much more quickly than you would think, and it can really create financial strain very quickly. Loss of sleep, that's another one, and feelings of depression. I think after the first 8 or 10 items on that list, if you weren't feeling depressed, I would be surprised there. But behavioral health support is very important for caregivers too. And then this is some stats about the impact on business. If your employees are caring for a family member, the impact it has on or can have on the business, it probably does. And it's really difficult if you're at the office and you keep getting phone calls about the situation back at home. So what's out there? It's not all doom and gloom. Here are some support services that we do bring to bear for caregivers. Support groups are a great way to get some help and hopefully lighten the caregiving load a bit. We have lunch and learn sessions. The Memory Cafe. At the Memory Cafe, the caregiver and the care receiver can come and spend time with others who are in similar situations. Care coordination, personal care, the information and referral services. And there, I'm aware of the time, so I'm going to go real quickly here, okay? This is a new CMS Medicare program called the GUIDE program, and it's focused on providing supports and services for caregivers of people who are living with dementia. And a very important part of that, as far as the Peninsula Agency on Aging is concerned, is that under this GUIDE program, community-based organizations that are qualified as participants in the program, and we have 2 NPAAs a part of one of those, can actually bill CMS Medicare for social supports and services, and it's not for clinical care, it's in addition to the clinical care. So this is a huge advance. And then here are the basic services. You can see care coordination, and you have these slides available, I guess, right? So I'm going to move quickly through those. And then the last thing I wanted to share was these are the eligible beneficiaries for the program. And so it's a great, I think, opportunity for caregivers who are caring for people with dementia to get some much needed support. So I know I'm out of time, way out of time, but thank you for allowing us to come. If you have questions, we're always there, and be glad to follow up as appropriate. So Randy, I guess back to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Council members, any questions or comments from Mr. Massey or Ms. Thompson?
I thought these were just very interesting numbers, and of course we knew that, but we never really concentrate on.
I guess I have a question, and maybe it's for outside this, but trends for first floor living, and if that's becoming more widely available throughout the peninsula for aging in place at home.
we still find, the people who live in apartments particularly, we see situations and the landlords aren't very responsive to getting someone moved from a second floor to a first floor apartment. I think families in single family homes are realizing that stairs are a real barrier, and the falls being a really the way things go south real quickly if you have a fall. So stairs are something to be avoided. All right.
Any others? Mr. Massey?
Thank you.
Ms. Thompson, the fruits of your labor are readily apparent and much appreciated. Your presentation tonight was outstanding. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome back anytime. Thank you. Okay. Well, good evening. Welcome to everybody. Appreciate y'all being with us tonight. This Poquoson City Council meeting is called to order. If you could please rise for the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation I have tonight is not an original prayer of mine. I got it from Oak Grove United Methodist Church in Chesapeake. I took the liberty of modifying some of the words specifically. So just want to give credit where credit's due. Let us pray. Dear God, please fill us with your wisdom and courage as we seek your will for the city of Poquoson. Empower us to follow you in serving our families, our city, state, country, and our world. Help us be aware of what you are trying to do with us and through us so that we may follow your example, servant leadership. In Christ's name we pray.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Moving on to item C on our agenda is the audience for visitors. So we will open the floor for public comment related to the city of Poquoson. Good evening.
Good evening. So
Thank-
I was expecting to sign in. I apologize.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you again.
Yes, hello. So, Mayor Hux and members of council, thank you for your leadership in allowing an open session tonight. Glad to be here and say hello. I'm here regarding a recent council agenda item that I had heard about discussing whether to require helmets for children on bicycles. Non-motorized bicycles is what I'd like to speak on tonight. So I want to be clear, I believe in safety. But I also believe that proposal crossed the threshold that belongs to parents, not government. We would never expect, for example, the city to decide whether children wear knee pads when rollerblading, shoes while running, maybe even using hand signals while on a razor scooter. So those are parenting decisions in my mind. Requiring helmets by law for ordinary bicycle riding, for only self-powered mobility, is a step into that same territory. So Virginia doesn't have statewide helmet law. Some communities have definitely adopted mandates, absolutely, but many like ours leave it for their trusted parents to negotiate. And while research clearly shows that helmets reduce the risk of head injury, the question I'm putting before you isn't whether helmets help, it's whether it's to the city to step into that role of a parent. So I offer some different ways to achieve the same goal, maybe education over enforcement, maybe partnering with schools to teach bike safety and good habits, informational posts online, access over penalties, maybe offering helmet drives or vouchers to ensure cost isn't a barrier, and infrastructure over ordinances, investing in safer streets, sidewalks, and crossings like you have done so well to prevent accidents in the first place. We can definitely create a culture of safety in Poquoson without criminalizing parenting choices. So I'm urging the council, please, to encourage, not enforce, support, not substitute guardianship and parenting, and to lead by building safer streets and stronger families, not by writing more rules, because we don't need more rules to lead safe kids. We need partnerships, and we need education and safer streets. I want to win it through support, not punishment. So I thank you for your time tonight speaking on this.
Thank you. Your comments are well received.
Thank you.
And if you wouldn't mind, please share with us your name and address, just for the record.
Yes. Yep, this is Lindsay Watson. I'm at 9 Franklin Court.
Thank you, Ms. Watson.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here. Do we have any other public comments? Very well, we will close the floor and move on to item D. Tonight we have a special presentation, and part of our celebration of our 50th anniversary as a city is to honor businesses that predate the city. Tonight we're fortunate enough to have with us Mr. Bill Forrest, his lovely wife Julie, who's actually a school bus driver for Poquoson City Schools. I had the pleasure of driving with Julie 3 years ago, and she's been a great asset. A lot of people around here know Mr. Forrest is not only Bill, but Little Bill, to be precise.
Hey, Debbie.
And
Hey, you told me to do it. Hey, look, I know Miss Debbie. I know you, Mr. Dave. I know you, Mr. Willa. I think I've seen him once or twice. I'm not a verbal person. I'm the guy that likes to be in the background. And this has come up for us to come here before. And Joe Bunton, that used to be the mayor, said that me and my father was the most sociable, unsociable person you'd ever meet. You want to see us? Go down there. So I figured, hell, I'm almost 70 years old. I might as well speak. Miss Debbie, your grandfather and them, the Diggses, my grandfather, W.G. Evans. It used to be 10, 12 businesses down there at the point. I mean, I could go on and on. They're gone. That way of life is gone. I am honored for y'all to recognize me. My family started in 1928, my grandfather. Then my daddy started in 1960, where we're at now. In June, we've been there 75 years. I appreciate everything. I always, as my father or my grandfather, I can remember as a child with my grandfather, we'd go fishing. And he wasn't really a fisherman because he did his thing. My grandmama, she run a little store. Make story short, we would take fish around town and we'd come back with produce. And I'd say, Granddaddy, you didn't make no money. He said, yeah, we traded. And I said, well, cool. And then as the years went, like my father, if anybody in Poquoson needed anything, like the fire department, police department, Kiwanis, whoever, we always were there. And not just to be there, but to be, I don't know, to thank you. You know, to thank you for everything. And don't ever ask me to come up here again. I'm scared to death. You know, but I really appreciate more than you know that y'all recognized our business. I'm the third generation. My daughters are the fourth generation. I hope we can keep it going. We'll do our best. And again, thank y'all so much. You know, really, I mean, it's an honor to be here. I'm not a talker, but I'm trying. I'm scared to death, actually. But again, thank y'all so much for recognizing that, you know, I mean, I had talked to a few people, and my family's business is the oldest business going. I mean, my dad alone been there 75 years. and then my grandfather, and then before that. You know, it's not a get-rich business, but it's a living. And I appreciate y'all recognizing me more than you'll ever know. And again, anything we can do, we're glad to do it.
Bill, relax. You are among friends.
I'm scared to death.
You're
It's good
among.
thing I don't drink and get crazy anymore.
Well, congratulations.
Debbie's over here laughing. You know what? You know, I mean, let me tell my agent. I remember when she was a little teeny thing. That was just yesterday. What happened? And Mr. Bohr, damn, I thought he'd been retired in the Bahamas somewhere. But again, thank y'all. I know this is busy. It's an honor. I thank y'all.
Well, congratulations on your success.
Well,
Not only
I
do
got
you,
my next generation coming.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
It's like when I kept telling my dad, Daddy, when am I ready? Oh, you're not ready, you're not ready. You know, and I would see the way he would do things, and I would say, Daddy, you're not ready. And then one day when he got sick, a little after, he come to me, he said, Bubba, you ready? He was getting me to that stage. I had all kinds of ideas, which everybody does, but, you know, you listen to the old people, and then after they're gone, then you do it the way you want to do it. You know, I'm proud of them, I really am. And thank y'all again. I might go get drunk.
Bill,
We have a little something for you, Bill.
What you got, man?
Bill, before you leave, okay, you might not recognize me, okay, but I'm Bud Southall, okay?
Yes, sir.
And the first time I met you, you were sitting underneath the table of my father-in-law, okay? Your mom and dad were friends of my mother-in-law and father-in-law, Tommy and Emmy Forrest, okay? Okay? And they were down there having a beer and eating a whole bunch of crabs your dad had brought up there. And I remember you sitting underneath the kitchen table, grabbing scraps and eating underneath the kitchen table. But I'm going to tell you the truth, okay? You did take a beer underneath that kitchen table. And it had to take it away from you, okay? But I'm proud of you. Your family has done a great service to the city, and I'm glad you're keeping it going. Thank you.
Well, if God's willing, I hope we continue.
Bill, we got a little something for you. This is a 50th anniversary commemorative coin. Of course, you'll recognize the city seal on this side, developed by Ms. Peggy Moore, 1976. And on the reverse side, it has our 50th anniversary logo, developed by our administrative specialist, Ms. Ashley Chapman, who's also a Poquoson graduate. So this is something to remember the occasion.
Hey, man.
Congratulations.
Thank
on
you
your
so much.
success.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Creates the city and the town of Poquoson.
I appreciate it. And thank y'all again.
Appreciate you.
Favorite beverage?
Any other comments from council members? We sure appreciate the Forrest family being with us tonight.
y'all. Good to see you.
Thank you again, Ms. Watson. That concludes our presentation, and we'll move on to item E, approval of the minutes. Do we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the work session of September 8th, 2025?
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second?
Thank you. Questions or comments? Christie, call for vote, please.
Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett?
Aye.
Councilman Freeman?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hubbard?
Aye.
Mayor Hubbard?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you, Christie. Do we have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the regular session from September 8th, 2025?
So move, Mr. Mayor.
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Christie?
Councilwoman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilman Freeman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett,
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting,
Aye.
Councilman Fye,
Aye.
Mayor Hucks.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7 to 0.
Thank you, Chris. Moving on to item F on the agenda, comments of the city manager. Randy?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Two items tonight. The first is printed on your agenda. This is a note for those that join us at home and join us in person. Just a reminder that the council's next meeting will be Tuesday, October 14th, due to the Columbus Day holiday the preceding day. So we don't typically meet on Tuesday, so I just wanted to make sure folks got an alert of that. Also, I wanted to highlight and thank our local Langley Federal Credit Union branch. They will be hosting a after hours being 5:30, business mixer for all Poquoson businesses at their location on Thursday, October the 9th, and it is open to all Poquoson businesses. I know that at the Hampton Roads Small Business Development Center will have someone there. I'm intending to go as well. I believe the library will be there as well. They have a lot of assets that can help business owners as well, and they're going to showcase those. And I just want to take a moment to thank them. We used to have these sorts of things in different places pre-COVID, but I believe this is the first one since then. So another example of things getting back to normal and not a moment. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy. Move on to item G, council directives. Angie?
Appreciate those who came out to speak during the audience for visitors. And I'm so glad that we had Bill Forrest here. That was a great idea. That was a pleasure. And I spent Friday night loading up barbecue in the refrigerated truck that he let Kiwanis use. He mentioned giving back to the community, and I think he does that. That's all I have.
Thank you, Angie. Jeannie?
Thank you. I loved so much having the folks from the Agency on Aging here today. They were immeasurably helpful when my mom entered palliative care and then hospice care. The resources that they made us aware were available to us, and it was really good to have them come here so that more people can learn about those resources and their availability. And it's great to see how they're starting to work with people with memory care. We didn't have that situation, but so many people in our lives have been touched with memory care issues. And I just hope that everyone looks to those types of resources when their families are in need.
Thank you, Jeannie. Mr. Sallow?
I'd just like to thank the people who came out tonight to pay attention to the city council. I wish more of you would, okay? Invite your friends, okay? Also the people at home who are watching the city council, I thank you also for your attendance. Consider coming to visit us sometime. And to everyone, okay, we have many committees and boards that can use some applications for people to serve. We welcome you all to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Southall. Mr. Freeman?
I have nothing additional tonight.
Very good. Keith?
I'd just like to piggyback on what Councilman Southall said. Appreciate Lindsay Watson coming out and letting us know her feelings. As you mentioned a couple meetings ago, if we don't hear the feedback, we tend to go our own way and not necessarily the way that everybody wants us to go. So having that feedback really does help. Also mentioned thank to Councilwoman Emmett and the mayor himself for coming out last Friday morning. We had the Virginia Peninsula Food Bank elected and local officials volunteer day of service. That's a long thing to say. Basically, we packed up to, I think, 360 boxes worth of food that get distributed by food pantries such as our own. And it really helps you get an idea of what all goes into the work that they got. And I asked them who does that when we're not there. And they basically said they get volunteer groups from local fire departments, police departments, Christopher Newport University students, and the like. And so that's how that food all gets put in those boxes that we're able to distribute, which is a great thing. And I will be attending a partner agency summit this Friday with the food bank this Friday morning. I'll report back as to what it is I find out about it, because I'm not sure exactly what it is, but I was invited and I'm going. So that's all I have, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Keith. Debbie?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would like to thank also the folks that came out from the Peninsula Community Foundation, Ms. Thompson and Bill Massey from the Peninsula Agency on Aging, and certainly agree with Jeannie, those of us who have had parents, aging parents, and we were the caregivers for them, the resources, any resources that you can get are just so valuable, and I think the education of what is available, sometimes there, you might have a great need, you don't know what's out there, but just knowing is just wonderful for someone. It can just really make a huge difference, for that caregiver, because it is definitely stressful. Just the fact that your loved ones are aging and need the care is a stress in itself, and then you being the one to provide that, it is very stressful. So very, very thankful to have that information. Also, thanks to Lindsay Watson for coming out. We, last council meeting, the discussion up about an ordinance regarding the helmets, and it is wonderful to have people come from the community and give us your ideas, your thoughts on that, so we can take those into consideration. And as we move forward, when we're making decisions that are going to affect the citizens, how they're enforced or which way we decide to go. I love to have that input, so thanks to her for coming out and doing that. Thanks also for those that are here just at the meeting tonight, listening and taking it all in. And special thanks to Little Bill and his family. Some of my best memories growing up was down at Messick Point, and the seafood businesses down there, the restaurant that used to be down there where I would go in and get an ice cream every time I went down to the point with my dad. Those are great memories, and I could listen and talk to people about that for a long time. So it was great to have Little Bill and his family, and knowing that he is the third generation, and his daughters, they're right down with him, there with him, ready to take that on whenever he decides it's their time. So thanks to them for being here tonight. I really, really enjoyed that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Debbie. I'd like to thank Jason Ernzen for helping us with the IT tonight. So thank you very much, Jason. Couldn't do it without you. And under their ever watchful eye, I'd also like to thank our Assistant City Manager, Ms. Tanya O'Connell, Administrative Specialist Ashley Chaika, who takes the minutes for us. And we sure appreciate all the support, as well as everybody seated at the dais, of course. So with that, we will move on to item H, closed session. We have a closed session pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A3 of the Code of Virginia from 1950 for discussion of acquisition or disposition of real property, and Section 2.2-3711A7 of the Code of Virginia from 1950 as amended to consult with the city attorney pertaining to probable litigation. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments? Christie?
Councilman Freeman.
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett.
Aye.
Councilman Southall.
Aye.
Councilman Fye.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hubbard.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting.
Aye.
Mayor Hubbs.
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. We're now in closed session.
is under closed session tables and all the exits to the room, economic development process.
We trust them.
That's why you're still here.
Because I don't want to be there.
Did that thing October 9th?
October 9th, 5:15. Ready to go, sir.
Item I on our agenda is reconvenement and certification of the closed session. Do we have a motion and a second?
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Questions or comments?
That was for both reconvening and certification.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
That is correct. Do we actually need to read the certification?
Be certified that you only discuss what you bring into closed session to discuss.
Okay.
Here.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we certify a closed session and only public business matters lawfully exempt from open meetings were talked about in that meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have a motion and a second. Christie, call for vote, please.
Councilwoman Hubbard?
Aye.
Councilman Southall?
Aye.
Councilman Freeman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting?
Aye.
Councilman Fye? Mayor Hooks?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. Item J is adjournment. Do we have a motion and a second?
So moved.
Thank you. Christie?
Councilman Southall? Councilman Freeman?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hubbard?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Bunting? Councilman Fye?
Aye.
Councilwoman Emmett? Mayor Hooks?
Aye.
Mr. Mayor, the motion carried by a vote of 7-0.
Thank you. We are adjourned.